Clint Eastwood Jr., born May 31st, 1930 in San Francisco, California, is an American actor and filmmaker. He had success with spaghetti westerns during the 1960s and as an anti-hero cop Harry Callahan in 5 Dirty Harry films throughout the 70s and 80s. These roles, among others, have made Eastwood an enduring cultural icon of masculinity. For his work in Western film Unforgiven in 1992 and his sports drama Million Dollar Baby in 2004, Eastwood won an Academic Award for Best Director and Best Picture, as well as receiving nominations for Best Actor. As he began to branch out with new roles in front of the camera, he sought out to have more creative input on the types of film projects he was involved in. One way he was able to accomplish this was by creating his own production company, which eventually allowed him to work behind the camera as a director. His first film as a director was in 1971, Play Misty for Me, which was well received by critics but did not do well in the box office. His second film as a director was High Plains Drifter in 1973, in which he also starred in. That film found Eastwood returning to the genre that made him a star, but critics complained that it was directionally simply copied by what he had done before. Eastwood's career is defined by how often he starred in or directed films that reflected American culture and history. Westerns were an American film genre that was popular throughout the world in the 50s and 60s, the time period that Eastwood got his breakout as an actor. Once he started directing, he was more knowledgeable about the movie-making process and began to branch out. First, he explored the American culture from a perspective that he was familiar with. Play Misty with Me took place in his hometown and reflected on the dangers of being a popular figure. Bronco Billy also told the story of fame and showbiz in America. And later, White Hunter Blackheart about an obsessed film director. His filmmaking process lent itself well to a small scope of films where he found a lot of success exploring aspects of American history. Films like The Bridges of Madison County and Mystic River are good examples of this. Eastwood is not just one-dimensional who only does westerns. He also has a love for music, especially jazz. Jazz is something that Eastwood finds very interesting, and so he made films like Honky Tonk Man and The Bird. Another one of Eastwood's tropes can be the discussing of the dynamics of the American government and the justice system. This can be shown in films such as Absolute Power and True Crime. In Eastwood films, the protagonist suffers from a dark past, who in most cases have to redeem themselves and recover their future. Eastwood likes to enhance the plot by using realistic events. Like in his more recent films, American Sniper and The Mule, which are based on true stories. In The American Sniper is based on a Navy SEAL who is demonstrating the tragic side of war, because even when he does his job properly, people will still die, whether they are American or Iraqi. Whereas in the film The Mule, the protagonist, who is played by Clint Eastwood as an old man, tries to escape his past. The protagonist, who is very broke, decides to try to make money fast through drug trafficking. Each load of drugs gets bigger and bigger and worth a lot of money. He gets caught up in a bad situation and is forced to deliver the biggest load in cartel history. When on his way, he receives word that his ex-wife is dying. He ends up going to visit her as he is trying to save his relationship with his daughter and granddaughter. In this film, Eastwood shows the power of appearances. While on delivery, he stops at a diner and has a conversation with a DEA agent played by Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper is trying to bust him, and what's ironic about the scene is Eastwood's character is giving Bradley Cooper advice. Meanwhile, he has the biggest load of cocaine in the back of his truck. This is a prime example of Eastwood's directing style because he is acting in the movie, it reflects a dark past protagonist seeking for help, and recently Eastwood tends to use Bradley Cooper more in serious roles in films. He used him in American Sniper and The Mule. A recurring trope in Eastwood films is the delivery of the deadpan one-liner. These tend to impact the film highly and rapidly change the momentum of the film. The protagonist often uses this line when they are backed into a corner and feel alone. And when they say it, it really hits the audience as well. In the film Sully, which is also based on a true story, Sully Sullenberger, played by Tom Hanks, is a U.S. Marine captain. After flying through a flock of birds, both engines are down. Sully plans on emergency landing over the Hudson River. This film is the battle between real-life actions and simulations, because in court, this heroic act looked unnecessary. The line that changed the momentum of the film said by Sully in court. He says, "Can we get serious now?" This shocks the courtroom because Sully knew that he made the right decision, but simulations made it seem like a land at the airport was possible. Something else that Eastwood enjoys to use during the film is silence. This film uses silence not to build intensity like most directors, but he likes to use it to show power and emotion behind the scenes. During a film, the audience expects a corrupt plot with a happy Hollywood ending, but this isn't the case during an Eastwood film. Eastwood avoids Hollywood films, and he enjoys directing films that have ambiguous endings and leave the audience curious or in a state of shock. These endings all have a purpose and meaning. This allows the audience to think about the movie they were just in and break down possible endings with no right answer. To summarize, Clint Eastwood's career has been very successful. He is one of the most well-known directors and actors in the film industry. His signature styles include three main tropes: the master of downbeat endings that leave the audience curious, the protagonist suffering from a dark past or death, and lastly, he likes to deliver a deadpan of one-liners. This has been what makes an Eastwood an Eastwood.